All right, so I got Miki Griffin here. Miki is a real estate broker and she's done some rehab work and she's a wrestling mom, which I want to talk about the wrestling mom thing some because I'll tell you what, my sons have done real well in wrestling and they don't have what I consider a wrestling mom. Like, and I mean, when I say a wrestling mom, like there's all kinds of moms that are like, kill him, Johnny. And that's not a wrestling mom. That's like an idiot. So there's certain wrestlers that I've seen that, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in this. When I see you, I see you as the person that's, their dad wasn't the one that got him involved in grappling and stuff like that. That was you, right?
That was me.
Okay, it seemed like that's the impression that I got, and I admire that actually. Like I think that's terrific. I think that, like, it seems hard to believe, but my sons are 18 years old. They've been wrestling since kindergarten, seniors in high school. They have never once been told by their mother to go work out. They've never been once told by their mother to go for a run or anything, pretty much. Like they tell their mom what they want to eat and stuff like that because they get their diet from me, and then they just, tell their mom, this is what I want to do. So when I see a wrestling mom, Nathan Calloway's mom, which is ironically, she's a real estate broker also, Michelle, I don't know if you know her or not.
Yes, I do.
Okay, right. So she's the same way. Like she's the catalyst for everything that Nathan did as far as wrestling goes and all the other stuff. And I always admired that. I was like, boy, my sons, it'd be insane how far they could go if they had it coming from both directions constantly. So.
Well, I think I need to back up on that a little bit.
Okay.
So, what got us even started in the whole grappling world and in combat fighting was actually my younger son, Dominic.
Okay.
He was 4 years old and he was having temper tantrums and he wasn't.
The cameras here. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, it's okay. He couldn't speak. What was that? He was frustrated and
Okay.
he had no outlet really, to get rid of his frustrations. And he would fight with my older one, Bobby.
Yeah, they're 2 years apart?
They're 16 months apart.
Okay.
So yeah, just under 2 years.
Sure.
But back to back nevertheless.
Irish twins, right?
Irish twins, yep. And so, in searching for something for him, I'm like, well, it just made sense, some sort of combat fighting, boxing,
Sure.
something like that. Sure. We managed, and he was very young. He was 4 years old. So we couldn't find anything that catered to him at that age. We finally found a coach, and we had to do private coach through, over in Orland, UFC gym or whatever.
Okay.
Something like that. I know they've changed names so many different times now, but it was Marco Damiani. He was a Muay Thai champion, so on and so forth.
Sure.
Came to America. He took him on, and it really helped. It helped him with some discipline. It helped him get out some frustration, some anger, all these things.
Okay.
And he became really good, and he was super cute. We have like little videos of him, fighting and kicking and
good-looking boys.
He doing little combos and kicks and
right.
So then Bobby decided he wanted to get involved in something, and he, in doing combat sports, you start to see other genres of this, and he saw jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So Bobby was about 5 years old, and we took him to a jiu-jitsu gym, and he never looked back. He's done it every single year.
Now, was that Randori or?
Well, Randori was Brujo before Randori.
Oh, right. Okay. And that was before I was there with the boys.
Right.
Okay.
So we started then, and what's crazy is some of the guys are still, I talked to all the guys.
Yeah.
It's been years and years. But good people. He loved it. We would travel all over the Midwest, going and checking out, or doing tournaments.
Right.
And that's how we came to meet, actually. You came.
Right, exactly.
So.
Yeah, came in at Randori, and I brought the boys in there. So the wrestling thing, though, my sons, it was always going to be, wrestling was going to be the thing. That was what that was my plan for them. As far as I knew, that was the guys that were the most disciplined, the guys that were like it's all encompassing. If you're going to wrestle, you got to, diet's got to be important. And then like when I say diet, I kind of hate that word. Like I told my sons, I go, listen, you don't diet, you eat and train.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say diet, I just mean the structure of what they eat. There's a misconception with wrestlers that they don't eat or something like crazy shit like that. And it's not that way at all. My sons eat tons of food. It's just the right food.
Right.
So their diet is what they take in. But you need to be disciplined. And I figured with my daughter, she's a gymnast. So that's a very difficult sport. Like, I mean, Olympic gymnasts are trained like to the utmost. So I set the bar where I set it for all three of my kids, and wrestling's the toughest sport as far as high school sport goes too. So I set the bar high, and if they failed from that, then they could be football players, or they could be, baseball players, or they can whatever like that. But, wrestling, once you do that, like everything else is easy. So, that's the way I set it up. And then we had a similar situation. Peyton was the kid who had to sit on the bouncy ball in school, and he just would not stop moving. He was constant movement. And they were like, we had teachers that were like, they would like to see him medicated, because I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I was on the same page with that. Okay. It was not happening.
No chance. So we, dove into wrestling, and then the boys, they always did better than, they always won more than they lost, sort of a thing. So like from the get-go, their first tournaments, they were like, in the finals and stuff like that. So it was fine. They've had their ups and downs. There were times when they were at the club that they were at that the coaching staff really didn't think much of them at all. Like, yeah, and right now they're like ranked 5th and 6th in the state. So like, it's come a long way as far as that goes.
You and I both know that they like to play favorites too. And, they're, I'm speaking very frankly right now.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
They only put the time into the ones that they want to.
That and their daddy coaches. Mm-hmm. So like I've coached for 8 years now, and I feel like, someone could tell me that I'm wrong, but I'm the opposite of a daddy coach. I waited till my sons got out of the first group. We had 3 groups, and I waited till they got out of that group so I could come into that group and start coaching, because I don't want to coach. I holler at my kids. I shouldn't say holler. I tell them what to do all day, every day. I don't want to tell them what to do all practice too. Like, go have someone else tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. And that's the way we did it. So I came into the group 1. They were only in group 2 for a couple of years, and then they were into group 3, which is the varsity. Mm-hmm. And then I went to group 2, and I've been there ever since. I've never really left that group. Their 8th grade year, I spent all my time with them because it was the last one they were going to have that way. Right. So it was fine. Now Matt's side, they prefer me to coach them because they're like, best. And then like they come up. Just last week, we were at a tournament, and we were at a duel where we had to wrestle 3 teams. And my son goes, "Hey, can you watch my?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I scout out his match that's coming up. I'm like, "All right, he's going for a single on your left leg. He's a stand up he's a switch, whatever he's gonna do. Like he knows ahead of time because I watched the match. Right. So like he's wrestling at the same time. I'm videotaping his match so I can watch it in a minute while I'm physically watching the other 2 guys he's going to meet later on. So we have a better relationship than I could have ever dreamt we would have. And I'm actually surprised because of the amount of time I spend with them too. We do construction together, we fish together, we live together, and we wrestle together. So I'm constantly telling them what to do. And wrestling is like no other sport. You're literally in the corner hollering things at them.
Well, I don't think people realize, okay, yes, it's a physical thing, and it's very hard, and you're constantly training, and the workouts are like no other. And that's really the truth. And you'll see these kids.
You people that aren't involved in it don't understand that.
Absolutely not.
Like, my kid plays lacrosse, and I'm sure it's just as difficult. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to be a dick, but it's not. I'm sorry, right? I'm going to say these things and you're going to be mad, but I'm telling you, it's not the same. It's not the same thing. These guys are literally like, it's a combat sport. So you're going to go one-on-one with a guy that they have, like, this sport was literally done where they would oil the guy up naked and send you out there. So you're the same size. You have no weapons except for your body, and then you go.
Survive.
Shoot, yeah, go at it.
Right.
It's as fair as a sport as it can be. Really, what it has to do with is what did you do with the whole week before you got here on Saturday to do this.
And I think too, it's a chess match. It is very mental,
sure.
and what's the next move? Anticipating. You need to know where your body is in space, and then
that wine's all right. What is that? That
Malbec.
What do you think?
It's good.
Yeah. I mean, I was referred to me by somebody, and it's good. It's really good.
Well, I love red wine, so
yeah.
especially South Americans.
All right, there you go. Good. Okay, so yeah, you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Just wanted to look to see what that was. I had it before.
Yeah, no, to get out there on the mat, it's just you and nobody else. It's a team sport, but it's not a team sport. It's you,
right?
Completely
it's not
on
a team
you.
Sport. It's right.
And it's all mental. I think it's all mental. You got to push yourself to the absolute limit.
Oh, there's so much thinking that goes on in it, and like I can see guys. A real good example of that was Matt Ramos at Lockport is a world champion. He won Fargo and then he won Worlds. So he went to like Belarus or whatever and won Worlds, which is amazing. But if you watch that match, the guy came in on a shot a certain way, and I don't want to like get real technical with it with the podcast because most people listen they're not wrestlers. But he almost let the guy get in on it twice, and then the third time he pinned him. Like he knew exactly what he was going to do, and he's like, all right, he thought it out. He's like, I got it, and this is what I'm going to do. So like there's so much thinking that goes on. And I think a lot of people, the thing that ruins it for me is that stupid WWE thing. It's like the opposite. They couldn't have thought of something that wasn't further from the truth to make the professional wrestling. You know what I mean? It's just nonsense. So yeah, it's very smart guys. A lot of my kids get great grades and it's an intelligent guy's thing. Jiu-jitsu is, I think you even have to be more methodical in that because it's slower and you're constantly thinking about what you're going to do as far as the sport goes.
Yeah.
Now, did you see, you know who Kelly Ripa is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know her kid wrestles, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know? Okay. So you didn't see, I guess, my buddy Tom, who went to the tournament this weekend, McCoy, he was at Randori. So I grew up with him, and he wanted to see the boys wrestle, so he showed up last weekend, and he said, did you see the Kelly Ripa's husband thing? And I go, no. And he goes, he came out of the stands, and like there was this whole big thing where he was like going to fight somebody at a wrestling tournament.
Sounds about right.
Yes, right. So we've seen a couple of little things get a little bit hairy and stuff like that, but mostly everybody's pretty cool. And what's crazy is there's some real top level fighters that are at these things coaching, and no one ever loses their shit. Mm-hmm. Like you don't ever see it get out of hand. I mean, I've been to a bunch of tournaments where Ben Askren's there coaching his AWA team in a duel. I mean, it's a youth wrestling thing, but this guy's like one of the best fighters on the planet, and he's here. And it's like, dads are screaming and all this other shit's going on, and nobody's like losing their shit. Right. You know what I mean? So like, I think it's a confidence thing where these guys know what they could do to each other, so they don't, sort of thing. It's almost like a humble respect. Yes, right. As a wrestling dad, there's definitely dads that in the 8 years I've coached, I've had to pull aside and been like, hey, you've got to calm down.
Right.
Okay? I know you're really excited. I know this is very emotional for you, but you're treating this like it's a reflection of you, and it's not. Besides the fact your son's 8. Calm down.
Right.
Take it down a notch, because there's no college coach that's ever going to remember that match when he was 8 years old. You got to chill.
Well, I've seen kids have more sportsmanship than their parents.
Their parents, yes, right. And I think the parents put too much on. I put my sons in it, and the jiu-jitsu stuff is you've got another angle where I see parents that put their kids in jiu-jitsu like with the plan that their kid's going to be a cage fighter someday. And I look at those people and I'm like, have you been punched in the face repeatedly? And they're like, no. And I'm like, hurts a little bit.
You want to put your kid in
right,
that situation.
And like, maybe you should go like get punched in the face a bunch of times and then rethink this, because my sons have always been good at this, and not in a bad way. Like I had to explain this to a guy that did some cage fighting. I'm like, listen, if my son comes to me at 23 years old, he says, I've got my degree in my pocket. I'm going to be an engineer, Dad, but I want to give this cage fighting thing a go. I will help him train. I will put a camp at my house and we will train for you to go fight. That's great.
Yeah.
But if my son comes to me at 23 years old and he bombed out of college and he wants to be a cage fighter as a living, I fucking failed. It's my daughter on a pole. Like it's the same thing. Like this is not what I want. That's not a. You're gonna get your brains beat in, and then you've got nothing to fall back on. So
Right.
it's like it bothers me. And I don't. My boys are gonna go to college. I don't care. I come from construction, so I don't care if you go to college. Part of this podcast, one of the parts that I like the most is that I get people on here that haven't gone to college. I just had Leah Freeman on. She is owner designer at Fuse Salon, and she makes a fabulous living doing fabulous stuff constantly. No college.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people that are there working with her or for her, it's the same thing. They went to college. They've got a 4-year degree or a 6-year degree, whatever they've got, and now they're doing. And people think that that's like a letdown. They found what they want to do, so I don't have a problem with that.
No, well, in all fairness, I mean, I went to college. I have a degree,
Right.
and I am doing nothing. I mean,
Scott and Ralph is the same thing. You see, Jeff Abbott.
I mean, it's good that I went.
Now, what'd you go to college for?
Music business.
Music business.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you going to do?
I was going to travel and be a tour manager, and
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that seems pretty damn fabulous. What happened there?
Yeah.
Just family and all that kind of stuff happened, and
no, family didn't happen. It was a whole lot of babysitting. I have zero tolerance for people who can't be responsible for themselves.
There you go.
So, and that's me being very candid on that. And that's what it really was. And it came down to like, I felt like it was all nothing but babysitting. And I'm like, grow up.
Okay. Now we've, just for the people, we've talked a bunch, but never like in depth. So this will be a conversation where I kind of get to know you a little bit because we haven't, really, maybe we chit-chatted for about 20 minutes before the podcast. And like I said, as far as wrestling moms go, like I knew you were part of the catalyst and what was getting the boys where they were going. So like I always dug that. And I always like admired that situation because I think it's got to be a different emotion going on with you than a guy. Because like I had buddies of mine that were like, oh, your sons are good wrestlers. Are they mean like you? And I'm like, no, my sons are sweethearts. My sons are real nice guys. Like most of the people that they wrestle don't even hate them afterwards. I'm sure they didn't enjoy wrestling them, but because they lost, but they're not mean. And I was mean. I was a mean guy growing up, and I was mean for a reason that I get into any of that. But so like I don't have that thing where I think my kids are got to be me or like a reflection of me. I was who I was all by myself. I don't need my sons to do that for me.
Right.
So from a mom's perspective.
Well, I mean, I was an athlete. I always was a competitive swimmer. I'm very competitive by nature.
Yep. Me too.
I don't like to lose. You can ask my family at family functions and we play games. And I mean,
do you throw the Monopoly board?
Well, no, I believe we were playing spoons one Thanksgiving, and do you know what spoons is?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were playing spoons, and it got pretty violent, and I actually had put my cousin in a triangle choke to get the across the table.
Nice.
So nice. Yeah, I mean, it gets a little crazy, but I guess from a mom's perspective, I actually did jiu-jitsu, so I trained, and I kind of knew where they were in the emotions that they felt. And again, though, I always wanted them to have really good sportsmanship. And I wanted them to see it as a lesson learned if they did not win that match. Like,
sure.
It's not a big deal. Learn from it. What happened? What, maybe look back on it if you want. My kids refuse to look back on any of their matches now. They will not look back on them. Before I'd be like, oh, but I could never video record because I was the mom yelling moves out. And
I'm terrible at it myself. I'm always leaning or something like that. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, that's
I
terrible.
can't. And it's so funny because when they were in, I know out this way they don't have, like in junior high, they don't have wrestling in junior high as a sport.
Okay, yeah, well, some do. Right.
Um, but I know back now being in Morris, we were, they went for junior high and
Yeah.
stuff. They had it there. Well, in Mantino they have a team, I believe.
I believe, I don't know if they do or not. So for my guys, is Morris High School 2A or 3A?
Oh.
No, don't know. So West is 3A, and that's where they go, and that's the biggest class in the state. So if my sons beat up the 2A kids when they wrestle them. So if they were to come here to Mantino's 2A, they would, we'd be.
Well, for junior high, I don't think that they.
No,
I don't.
No. It's all the right, and the junior high is different than the IK because so my sons did IK all the way through from kindergarten through 8th grade.
Okay.
And that's a tougher, like the competition, is tougher in the IK than it is in the junior high.
Okay.
But the junior high is tough if you're like a 5th or 6th grader. There's no age groups in the junior high.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a 5th grader and you're like 105 pounds, you're wrestling 8th graders.
Right.
So where the IK, it's private, the coaching's way better and the competition's way tougher. I mean, some of these kids are like eating glass. They are like super tough kids. So, as far as the junior high goes, my sons wish that Manhattan, because that's where we were at before, had a junior high one. I would have never let them compete in that. They would have been state champs in the junior high. But what you got to face the best guys to get better.
Right.
And then some of that's like, I hate it when I see somebody that's got an 8-year-old and they're like, flying him to Las Vegas to wrestle because he's got to face the best competition. And I'm like, he's 8. You got to, like, it's for me. I'm a father of 18-year-olds. It's different. I coach youth. It's easy for me to be like super laid back about youth because it does not matter. When I was there in the youth, though, I thought it did. Like, I didn't think it did to the point where I was a bad parent, but I thought it did, like to the boys and stuff like that. It did to them at the time. Right. But you know what? They don't remember any of it now.
Don't burn them out on it either.
Well, right. Okay, so I got a different feeling about the burnout thing. The burnout thing for me is I don't like that view at all. I'm messing with my camera because I got a new setup here, but my ugly face is, let's do this one, is over yours, and that's not good. So I coached a guy, a young man who his dad was on the podcast, Mike Mendoza, and his son is one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen. His son is like insanely good. Like, there is a tournament they have it 2 times in Tulsa and then once in Las Vegas over a year. And if you win all 3, you're a Triple Crown winner. It's a big national tournament. It's a big tournament. It's a legit national tournament, and this kid's won it, the Triple Crown 5 times. Right. So just like stupid good, right? So good. And a natural. The kid stepped on the mat and was like really good. Like, all the kudos in the world for that kid to go do as many tournaments as possible. He's never going to get burned out by getting his hand raised. Like, every single time he goes everywhere, he wins everything. The kids that I worry about burnout is we have a coach whose kid's good. He's a placer in the IK, and he's driving him to like Ohio and stuff like that. And he goes and he loses all his matches, and he gets in the car and he's like, I don't even know why I try and stuff like that. And I'm like, I looked at him and I go, stop taking him to those tournaments. Just stop. He's like 8. Just stop. When he's 12, take him again. See how he does.
Right.
But you will burn that kid out, because if he thinks every time I go against good competition, I get my ass handed to me, who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. Mm-hmm. So, there's that's my view on burnout as far as that goes. Like, and there's on USA Wrestling, there's guidelines. They say if you're under 12, 40 matches in a year That's it. So don't take your kids to more than 40 matches. Older than that, you can, go ahead and go 50, 60 matches, stuff like that.
Right.
My sons wrestle freestyle, Greco, and folk style. So it doesn't end. Like, it's all year. Like, they don't stop. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and her son wrestled, and like I felt bad after the conversation because her son, I have more respect for a kid who doesn't win anything and sticks with it all the way through school. It's hard to be like, you know what, half the time I got my ass handed to me and the other half I won and it was nice. But he's sticking with it. My son's got it easy. Peyton lost 3 matches the entire season last year. So pretty much every weekend he's like, I kicked your ass, I kicked your ass. That's not hard to go do. When you're the other guy,
and you're working for it.
Yes, you're working, you're trying, you're getting beat up all the time. Boy, your ego's in check. It's hard. Holy cow. So I got more respect for those guys anyways. And I don't think her son was this guy, but she was like, I can't believe your kids. I said to her, I go, hey, Christmas and holidays suck. My kids can't really eat. Like, I made a lamb roast, some vegetables, and a potato, and that was it. The potato was like, should you have that? I don't know. The day after Thanksgiving on a Friday, they didn't wrestle that weekend, so my son could do whatever he wanted to. My son weighed 76 pounds. He wrestles at 60. So he had till the next Saturday to make 60. And he ate like a fool and everything else. And he definitely jumped on a scale as soon as he was as fat as he could be, just to see what he weighed.
Right.
But he had 16 pounds to take off by the next Saturday. And she was appalled by that. I'm like, you just don't understand. That's the name of the game at the top level. Those guys, that's what they do. MMA fighters take off 25 pounds to go do what they do.
I have seen, and they're rehydrating. They've got IVs,
right,
and they're
right. My sons are not doing that.
I've seen it all. I've seen it. I have never. So for jiu-jitsu, it's a little bit different because that's where their roots, my kids' roots are. Right. Judo and jiu-jitsu, and their weight brackets are 10 pounds weight brackets. Sure.
And as little kids, they were 10 pounds.
Yes.
So my guys didn't really cut weight for that stuff.
Right. And so my kids never got into that because they didn't start wrestling until about, I want to say 9, 10.
Right.
9 or 10, something like that.
Kudos to them for staying with it because that's tough to do that.
Well, it's a hard transition getting from jiu-jitsu to wrestling to jiu-jitsu. I know
That's a fact. Oh my God.
Yes.
The whole thing I watched. Okay, so Bo Nickel, who was an awesome college wrestler, just wrestled Gordon, just grappled a grappling match. It was on Flow Grappling, and I tuned in to see it because Bo Nickel is like incredible wrestler, and he has no grappling experience. He's like, took 3 months to figure it out. He's like, I'll go grapple with the best grappler in the world right now, this Gordon guy. So he goes and does this, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I can't make fucking sense of half of this. People were attacking from their own asses. They were on their own asses, like
scooting.
Yeah, scooting, and I'm like, this is not a fight. If I got into a fight, a guy put himself on his ass to begin with, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? So
like a dog wiping his butt on the carpet.
Right. He was just scooting him. I'm like, what? At one point, this Gordon guy attacked him backwards.
Mm-hmm.
It was some kind of a donkey or mule attack or some shit. And I'm like, you're literally showing me your ass. Like, this is what you're doing. And at one point, Bo Nickel grabbed him and flipped him over his own head, threw him, because that's a wrestling situation. So I was like, whoa. And then, so I put my sons in jiu-jitsu to expand their mind on wrestling. I wanted them to have, and honestly, there's a couple little things that they got from Leo that they still use. There's a couple of things that Leo does when he has to fight a wrestler, and it's a situation that the wrestler's not looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So my boys will pull it out of their ass, and it's the other guys look in their faces like, what the fuck just happened? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden my son's behind him and he's got points. So I liked it for that, but they definitely, I would keep jiu-jitsu 10 weeks from the season, because you can be comfortable on your back in jiu-jitsu. Usually just triangle choke, that you're on your back choking that guy that way, you can't be there in wrestling. It's points right now.
Exactly.
So it's definitely different for sure. But it's all super disciplined, and it's one-on-one. It's very cool stuff as far as it goes. I had Leo on the podcast, and I would advise that if somebody wants to get into shape, go do that, because it's awesome.
For me personally, and my kids have been going to his gym, and I don't know if I'm putting a plug out there or whatever, but Steve Patterson, he is one of the best right now, and they go to University of Ground Fighting over in New Lenox, and they really love. I mean, he's a great instructor.
Another one of the coaches at Lincoln Way goes there too, Sam. I can't remember his last name, but he's a police detective, but he goes to Steve. And that's where he trains. But yeah, no, good place.
Absolutely.
I met Steve a couple times, but he was gone already from Red Door when I showed up there.
That guy, he's super tall, but he is lean and just, he's doing this for hours and hours a day. Instructing, rolling. He's great with the kids. Yep. He has a clear mind. He wrestled. Yep. That's how he started too.
Lincoln Central, I believe.
Yes, he did. Right. And so that it's really good he gets it, but knows and helps with the transition. And what I love more than anything is judo. I love the takedowns and the throws and stuff like that. And when my kids hit it, they'll hit him every once in a while. It shocks the wrestler. But I always tell them you don't want to get caught up with the wrestler, because once they got you all wrapped up, you're done.
Sure. No, it's definitely different. And there's been some judo kids in Illinois that were really good judo players that went into wrestling, and they were terrific wrestlers. As far as it translated real well. I sent my boys just this past summer over to Leo just for judo, like just show them some judo stuff, because my guys are way better on the mat than they are on their feet. And I don't want to give anything up to somebody who's scouting my guys for this year, but my problem with wrestling is they call stalemates like right away. If a guy's on the mat, and my guy is making it to a position where he's going to put the other guy in trouble, and they'll call a stalemate and reset him. And my guys are pissed. They're like, oh my God, I was so close. My guy's build is the same as mine. They're almost 6 feet tall. So if I'm on the mat with you, I can usually get a wrist or something really far away and get that pulled in.
They're long and
right.
Their reach is good.
Yeah. And you said your boy, now what was Bobby wrestling what weight last year?
Oh my God, last year 182.
182, and he's at 170 now. He went down a weight.
And he's weighing in at, I think, 164, but he's still wrestling at 170.
Now, why is that? What, the kid at 60's good? Or?
I don't know. I think that, and he's winning at 170. I don't know.
Okay, so Peyton's goal this year was to get to 70, because there's a difference in
where's he at now again?
60.
Okay. So
I told him, I go, listen, son, you got to get to 182. You got to be able to step on the scale before the season started at 182 to go to 70. That's, because he's looking for a state title. Like he's in that hunt. So he never made it. The heaviest he was like 172. That was it. So I'm like, you're 60. He goes, I know. I know. But we were trying to get to 70 because that threshold right there, not to say the wrestlers are bad, but when you're a guy that weighs 170 pounds, you can play a really good football, you can play basketball, you can play all these other sports.
Yeah.
Everybody below that is like wrestling 365, 7 days a week. It's all wrestling.
True.
So they're animals down there, where I've seen guys, and I won't name any names, they were not very good wrestlers that were state placers at 170. And it was like, just because you're wrestling a football player, like that's what's going on there. So Peyton was like, if I could just get up there, I could kill those guys. And like right now, like he's like, I could pretty much beat the 70 and the 82 and our team because they're football players. You know what I mean? So like that's just how it goes. So he was trying to get to that height. It's pretty cool that Bobby came down.
I don't know. I think it was like the summer of working, and you know what I mean, and just started leaning out, and he got taller, and he's like 6 foot, 6'1", something like that. So he just leaned out.
So crazy.
I know. But
now I'll see you guys will be at West on the 11th.
I think so. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I look forward to seeing the boys. I don't talk to your sons that much, but be good to see him. And then, oh my God, he's 6'1". Good Lord. So yeah, no, so it's good. I mean, last time I really saw them, they were little boys.
Yeah.
In the grappling stuff. So.
And that's where I think Bobby really excels. But I think you're right about the 170 weight class. And again, I'm not sitting here trying to like, my kids, yeah, but it's like 30 seconds pin.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's short amount of amount of time and it's done.
Sure.
And
I think the judo probably plays pretty good there too, because them throws and everything else work out pretty well.
And I think, and once he gets him to the ground, he's like, he thinks, well, he gets him in full mount, like he's in or jujitsu,
right?
And he's in full mount, and he's got him down on the ground. So
you gotta fix me up here.
Oh, absolutely. Hold on, wine break.
There you go. Yeah, I'm super thrilled that your guy stuck with it. I know Dom came over to the Lincoln Way Wrestling Club for a season there, and I'll tell you what, it seems strange, but if people get too caught up when their little guys are wrestling and how they're doing when they're in 6th and 7th and 8th grade, stuff like that. If they just have that background for 2 or 3 years, the jiu-jitsu and judo helps. But if you're just in wrestling for a couple years before you get to high school, everything changes once you get to high school. There's the freshman squad and the JV squad and then the varsity squad. I've seen guys that were freshmen on the freshman squad. They were still in freshman or whatever it is when they were sophomores or JV or something like that. And then they finally make varsity when they're seniors and they win like 90% of their matches. So you just have to put the time in and get there. Like, don't quit. Like, the retention in wrestling is so bad. It's terrible. They did that thing. I don't know if you guys with Morris ever did it, but they did the thing with the shirt and the shorts for like 2 years ago. They made it like legal for
instead of the singlet.
Instead of the singlet, because guys didn't want to be out there with their junk or whatever, because the singlet's revealing. I was just like laughing about that. I'm like, listen, if that's your biggest fucking problem, you shouldn't be wrestling.
Right, exactly.
Like, you got other problems than that. But so the shorts, now I don't see any teams running the shorts and the t-shirt now. But for the first year, I saw teams that were doing the shorts and stuff.
I think I saw one this year. I think I saw one high school doing it, and I can't.
My sons look at it like it's kryptonite. Like, no, I'm totally wearing. And they're physically built okay, so they don't need that anyway.
They have confidence in their singlet.
in what's going on. Right? And they're not, right? It's not confidence in her single, Mickey. It's confidence in her thing. I always feel bad for the heavyweight. It's like, oh, this guy's so big and everything else, and he's got this thing on, and his, ding-a-ling and the whole thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not fun. So the shorts and the t-shirt, the dry fit shirt would be fine for him. But like everyone else, like, who cares? My sons are they're as lean as they can be this time of year. Right. So they're like, I'm totally fine with this, Dad. I don't know what the problem is. I'm like, yeah, I know. But
well, my Dominic, the younger one, he's heavyweight. I mean, he's a big boy.
Yes.
But he is totally confident out there in his thing.
He
will do like lunges and look at me like, hey, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, my sons are crazy. That we'll be in a crowded gym, and I'm like, look over and I'm like, you're naked. Like, he's in his short, his underwear, and that's it. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, changing. I'm like,
all of it, yeah.
Everybody, and like, he's like, I don't care. So yeah, no. But yeah, so it all depends. And like I said, I don't think it matters what any of that goes on with the singlet stuff. But they were trying to get retention in the sport. They were trying to be like, all right, if the singlet's a problem, we'll let them wear a dry fit shirt and the shorts, and then maybe we'll get more guys to stay. There's some great athletes that I've coached that cut out of the sport because they lose matches. Every kid out there wants to. I don't know the dynamic, and I need to stop talking because I need to let you talk more. The the dynamic between a dad and his son, I know because I was a son and then now I'm a dad. Sons always want to show their dad, like they want to make their dad proud, sort of a thing. How does it work with a mom? Like I go to tournaments now where the ex-wife doesn't show up. She's not there. So like they don't have their mom watching that situation. Um, with a mom, what's the emotion that goes on with the boy with the mom?
I think, they do look to me. And they really do. We talk about it, and before they go out, I'm like, oh, come on, let's have a conversation. And they're like, okay. I'm like, what's your plan? What's your game plan?
And a girl.
And they're like, oh, well, you know what? I got to watch this because I feel myself, exposing this, and I don't want to, I just got to be conscious about it. And I'm like, all right, well, that's good. Think through the process, get out there and whatever. And yeah, and then I'm the mom yelling stuff out. And a lot of the time I'll do, if they're going to do something, and, I'll yell out the Japanese word for it instead
Shut up. Nice.
But I mean, they do look to me. They really do. And they'll look at me up in the stands. I've had coaches tell me that they won't coach them because they won't listen to them. They'll listen to me over them, and they'll hit it, whatever they're working for. And, I think it's the same kind of, I don't know because they have never been in that, I think their dad has tried to have that conversation, but I think because he has never done it or been in the sport or done it or maybe necessarily present. And I'm not, again, no digs, but just the fact that like I have never missed a tournament, never missed a match, never missed any kind of, I'm the one taking that.
I'm a dude in a wheelchair and I don't care if there's a blizzard, I'm not missing.
So maybe, it's kind of like, okay, he can't coach when he's never been in the situation.
Right.
I have been in the situation. I've done it. I understand. It's hard. It's hard. It's you on the mat fighting somebody.
Sure.
You call it rolling, call it match, whatever.
No,
you are fighting with somebody.
Right. I always had a problem with that when people would say something about jiu-jitsu and they're like, well, my son's going to fight. I'm like, I don't like that. Like that. There's a certain, I fought like a lot. And what they're doing in a jiu-jitsu match, you're not fighting. I mean, it's not really, like in a fight, there's no fucking rules. Like I take my goddamn thumb and stick it right through your eyeball because I'm not losing this goddamn fight. So.
Well, in all fairness, I've seen wrestling matches where they're sticking stuff in.
But there's a certain nobility to playing by the rules. So like I look at wrestling and jiu-jitsu and all that stuff like, I'd almost rather watch a jiu-jitsu match or a wrestling match than a UFC fight. I look at a UFC fight and I go, I used to do that at the bar.
Yeah.
I tackle you, ground and pound. I would just climb up you and then beat the shit out of you. Like those are, I mean, yeah, I used to use my face as a weapon. Like everything that I did was like, I'm going to, it was a more of a like, I'm going to inflict pain. Wrestling and the grappling is so cool because you're going to beat somebody up without beating somebody up. Like you have to beat them up, but you're not going to strike them, sort of thing. So you got to get it done that way. So you got to play within these rules and still make it work.
And be methodical about it.
Right, be methodical about it. So, okay, you ever see the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer?
Yes.
The little chess kid?
Yes.
I love that movie. The dad said, the mom says he feels like every time he plays chess, if he doesn't win, he's going to lose your love. How does that like, what kind of a professional athlete thinks like that? And the guy looks at his wife and goes, every single one of them.
Yeah.
And that's the relationship between a dad and a son. My sons, it's something we have to overcome. Like I have to explain to them, son, I'm not let down with you. Just let's figure out what went wrong. And I mean, like I've been lucky. It's only been a few times a year that we have to do this conversation. My sons have a hard time with it every single time. Like I need to let them have 10 minutes by themselves before they can even like look me in the eye, which is like, son, if you came to me,
start to make me cry. I'm serious because I've had these conversations. Right. So go ahead.
Right. No. Right. If my sons came to me and said, I'm gay or there's nothing. Dad, I killed a family of 3.
Well,
okay, son, you're still my son. We're going to have to figure out where we're going to go from here. So like, this is a completely different thing. I killed a family of 3 than I lost a wrestling match. But there's times where they lose a wrestling match and I feel like, hey man.
They feel at that moment in time that it's the end of the world.
Right.
I mean, you've
Right.
seen so many kids, these big guys, and they're having these adrenaline dumps, and they're crying and sobbing and throwing their headgear, and and I've always told them, I'm like, you never should act like that.
Right.
And no one's ever gonna it's not the end of the world. And then the other conversation that I have, there are days where they don't want to go. There are days when they don't want to do it, and
Sure.
or they're upset about something. And I always tell them, I'm like, that's part of me being your mother, is that on the days that you feel like giving up, I don't give up on you.
Right.
I will never give up on you.
You've got to walk this line, and I have to do it with my boys. Like I've in plain words explained to them, listen, my relationship with you is more important than any wrestling match you'll ever have. Or wrestling. I mean, Peyton, when he was like in 8th grade, he said something about like down in the mouth about wrestling. And I'm like, son, you understand you can quit anytime you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not a thing that, like, it will not bear on our relationship. You will be the son that I have that doesn't wrestle, and then the other one will, whatever like that. And he's like, well, I don't want to quit. And I'm like, I'm just explaining to you that you don't do this for me because it's never going to work. So, as far as that goes, like we were talking about other sports and stuff like that, this sport, like from a mother's point of view, it's emotional. It's far more. Like, did your boys play football?
Yes.
Right. Okay. My sons played baseball for 3 years. They would come off the field and I'd be like, how'd you do? They're like, I'm good. I got that hit and then I caught the ball. I'm like, good. Who won? They wouldn't even know what the score was. They didn't even know who won the damn game. And I'm like, there. Now, in wrestling, if you won or you lost. Like, I did not get my hand raised, Dad. I fucking lost. So, like, it's a completely different emotion that's going on in that versus, the baseball or football. Or the team sport is a completely different thing. And I see parents that I'm like, there was a set of parents that the son at the beginning of the year lost a bunch of matches, and the dad looked at him and said, I'm not coming back anymore. He didn't come back for the rest of the year. It was high school, and the kid ended up placing at state, and I saw the dad there at state.
Mm-hmm.
He turned it around, and he did good. The mother was not really good either. Like, she would be mat side, like literally throwing her hands up and be like, I'm out of here. She would do the two-handed, like, you suck sort of thing, and everything else. And like, you can't do any of that. Like, none of that could be the thing that you could do. And I don't fault them. Emotion just got the better of them.
Yeah.
They were upset that this was the way it was going. And like I said, the kid ended up being a state placer. Maybe it worked. I don't know. I can't do that myself. So like, I've never done that. I don't even, like, I coach, and you don't hear me on this mat side. And I don't speak mat side. Your situation is different. Your boys come from a grappling situation where they're probably doing things that the coach doesn't know what the fuck they're going to do.
And that's, yes.
Right. So like, cut you a pass. We have a guy, I don't say, the head coach for my boys is a 2-time All-American. He was in the NCAAs, twice placed, 3rd and 5th in the NCAA. Like, one of the best wrestlers on the planet at one time at his weight class. I'm not going to say anything because he's
right. He knows
he's got
what
this.
He's doing.
Yeah. Right. So I don't say anything out of respect for them. But we have a guy who his son's on the varsity team, and he's a screamer. And like, it's almost like a joke how loud he is. And like, people holler out, "Hey, you're not being loud enough," or something like that. I looked at it and just jokingly I said, "Hey, our office has been kind of lagging in the real estate stuff. We've been kind of slow. Can you come over and holler at us for a little bit?" And he did not laugh. I'm like, "It's a joke, man. I'm just kidding. I will pay you to come over and like, call that guy back. That lead you didn't follow up. Something, But anyways,
I don't know. I think you're right. It's emotional for the parents, and I think in wrestling, in grappling, in jiu-jitsu, the parents are really vested into it. I mean,
I have
you
never
go
seen a kid excel without a good support system. Like parental support is
you're
big,
so right. That's
right? And when I say parental support, I got to disclaim it with like, I got to explain what it is. Parental support is not kill him, Johnny.
right.
That's not parental support. Parental support is I open up my wallet and I'm constantly paying to take you to Michigan, Iowa, Missouri.
St. Louis,
Right.
yeah.
I'm driving you
Yeah.
everywhere for these tournaments. Right. Right. So that's parental support. So I've never seen a kid excel without it. I've never seen a kid where I'm like, wow, that kid's really good, and I don't know his parents because I know their parents. I mean, wrestling is a situation where if you see a really good wrestler wrestling, you can look over, oh, there's his dad. Like, this is what I find weird. When I would see your boys, I see you. When I would see other wrestlers that I know, I would see it's one parent always, which is strange. Like, do you know my ex-wife?
No.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So like when I see a set of or a good wrestler, I know one parent all the time. There's a wrestler that's at Illinois right now. He's a D1 wrestler. I have talked to his dad 30 times. I couldn't pick his mom out of a lineup. And then like Callaway, I've seen his mom. I've seen his dad once or twice, but like I've never seen him involved in the wrestling thing. It's I don't know what is it about wrestling or grappling. Maybe it's the emotion or what. Like one parent just can't take it and they check out.
Possibly.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm not the parent that checked out, so I can't even. And the one that did, I don't talk to. Right.
No, I mean, um, I think it's more. I enjoy it. I fucking look forward to it.
Nice.
I
Right.
love
Me too.
it.
I do. I love every minute of it. I love it so much that I love to go coach the youth guys. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing that makes me more. I'll be at high school tournaments like for years now because I have wrestlers coming up into high school. It's so awesome to see a kid that I coach. There's an 18-year-old kid on the wrestling team at West that every time he sees me, he goes, "What's up, coach?"
It's still the
It's the weirdest thing in the world, but it's the most awesome thing in the world too.
Yeah.
So I mean, and his parents call me coach. I'm friends with them. They're like, "What's up, coach?" I'm like, "Yep, that's who I am."
Yeah.
So it's great. The thing I'm most proud of being called is dad, and the second thing is coach. So it's terrific. But really the podcast, I want to talk about real estate more than anything else. This is what we spend. I would say I spend a very hard focused 25% of my life on wrestling, and the other there's another like 50% that's spent on real estate. And now you're different than me in that aspect too, because I still contract. So part of my focus is on contracting, and part of my focus is on real estate. But so let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the real estate business now.
My second love.
Right. How long have you been? You started. I know you started after me, but when did you start with the real estate?
Well, honestly, I started real estate when I bought my first condo at 21, and I started flipping.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wait.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't. So you had your real estate license for how long?
I didn't. I've only had my real estate license since 2014.
Oh, okay.
So, and then I went back, and then I had my managing broker's license, so I got that.
Okay.
But I was flipping at 21. I would buy my mom, who's one of my heroes.
Tell that story.
She's an entrepreneur. She's kind. She's tough.
Yeah.
She was always tough on me. Had always high expectations for herself, for me. Business. She was always a businesswoman. And I was lucky to have that as an influence.
Yeah, role model sort of
role model. I mean, and then she's your mom on top of it, which is amazing, But I know how to, I know how to love, and I know how to raise a family, and I know how to be a businesswoman because of my mom.
Good.
But anyways, She was wonderful, and she had put aside some money for me, and I was working full time, going to college full time, blah blah blah. And anyways, she had the forward thinking, and she gave me the money to get my first place.
Right. How old were you?
21.
21. And so, like, my advice always is to young people, if you're like someone who gets it, if you're obviously in college, you're not going to get a house. Like, that's not going to work out. You're going to be too in debt with the college situation. But if you're somebody who at 18 years old get your job and you're working in a career,
in the trade,
work towards getting a home.
Yes.
Stop renting. Right. But you do rentals quite a bit. I don't do very many rentals in the real estate stuff, but like some people, I think maybe not everybody is a homeowner, but financially, it's a really good idea to get yourself in a position to own.
So let me tell you why I am in the rental business on top of it.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of my clientele are first-time home buyers.
Oh, wow. See, that for me, that's not. Most of my clientele is, I'm probably dealing more in the $300,000 to $400,000 to $500,000 range than I am with most of my first-time home buyers are in the 190, 225.
And you'd be surprised. I mean, because they do a lot of luxury rentals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, they don't know where they want to go yet. They're kind of, a lot of millennials like to travel. They don't want to be bogged down with that responsibility yet.
Sure.
And then, so the rentals make sense for them. Or I work with a lot of my tenants. I definitely vet and screen them and making sure we're getting the right tenant for the right property for property management right. So, and I help guide them and get them to that credit score, put money away.
Sure.
Let's have these open conversations. Let's have good relationships. And I think relationships are everything when it's in business, especially real estate.
Real estate's like, it really is. So that's one of my hurdles with real estate is the networking thing. I don't do self-promotion the way that like you should, as far as that goes.
And what do you think it should be like? I'm curious.
Well, okay. I'm a little weird on this because there's a certain amount of douchebaggery that I like to avoid in my life. So I don't do that. Like, there's a lot of like movies out there that the real estate agent's the bad guy. So
it wasn't those kind of shows that we were talking about.
Right. Okay, so we were talking about before the podcast that like I think that there's a certain like sex sells, okay, and Miki's quite attractive.
Oh.
So I think you should use that to your advantage. And I have some idiot friends who they're like, hey, Bill, I know you got, so my entire adult life has been spent in the housing industry, in the local area too. So like I've built new homes, I've remodeled homes. If someone says, hey, I'm interested in the place with the Mansford roof, I can tell you what that is. Right. I'm glad. And I'm not saying you couldn't, but so my industry is that. There are plenty of agents, and I won't name any names, that are part-time. I work with some people who aren't so bright, and I spent time, I'm really good about it. Like if I get an agent, the first company I worked for had 62 agents in the office. 12 of us made a living selling real estate. The other 50, I have no fucking clue what they did.
Well, it's that 80-20 rule,
Whatever it is. But I'm like, oh my God, you haven't had a deal all year. How are you feeding yourself? Like, I don't know how this is working. They have a second job, whatever it is. Anything that you do, you become rusty if you don't do that job. So they're rusty. Now, I'll get an agent that their brother's selling their place and my buyer wants to buy that place. He doesn't understand that it's an FHA loan. So they have the buyer. It's an FHA loan. They need to have the FHA form, the rider put in. Yep. All of this stuff. So, right. So here I am and listen, you have to get this. And like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, that's fine. I'm super sweet with it because let's get the deal together and everything else.
Right.
But you're a bonehead, so here we are, and we're doing this deal. So a good majority of every agent is not equal as far as that goes. Let's just say it like that. Like if you're selling your house and you're just having your sister-in-law do it, the results might not be the same as if I did it because I'm going to work at it in a different way. And like you said, you're competitive. I'm competitive. I go at everybody in negotiations. Like I like you personally, but if we had to negotiate, I'm going to cut your throat.
Right.
Like this is what I'm going to do.
Negotiations, that's my favorite.
Right. Right. Well, you see me on Facebook. All I do is argue. So we're going to do that. And I mean,
but you could do that in a respectful manner because it's business at the end of the day.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
I'm not working for you. I'm working for my client.
Correct. Right. So, and like I go about my negotiations in a completely different way than somebody else does. I actually had an agent last year that said, "Come on," and I'm like, "No, did you just say come on?" Like that's not you're not making a point. I go, here are the comps. I built a case for why it should be sold for this amount of money.
Right.
You have built no case. You're just asking for it to be this. You're a poor negotiator. And then we sold it for the price because so there's appraisers out there that like I can do the exact same job as an appraiser. I can pull all the comps.
Absolutely.
I can do a line by line and be like, this is what it's worth. Take it or leave it. I like negotiating so much that I loved, like I bought my vehicle that's in the garage and I had the cash to buy it, but I went into a dealership and I love to like leave the dealership and have them chase me out of the dealership.
I have a story for you. I love that.
Tell me.
Oh, so I was trying to, I was in the market for a new car.
Okay.
You know, Bobby's now a driver.
Mm.
This was a year ago, so you know he was a driver. I needed a second car in the house.
I've had so much fun being a parent.
Oh,
it's been so much fun.
I love this.
Right.
I love it. But so and then Dominic's coming up quickly, so I'm like, I need a second car in the family, you know, and it's going to be helpful too.
So
you
nice,
know.
right?
So I'm like, Bobby, we need to go and you know, I want to teach you how to negotiate for a car, you know.
Oh God, totally cool.
So anyways, I'm like, where do you want? And he wanted to drive some sort of test drive a Camaro or some sort of Camaro. I'm like, yeah, you're not getting a Camaro. It's not happening.
Is there Italian in your heritage somewhere? What's going on there?
Yes, but we need the little Italian flag and a white Camaro. It's like everybody that I ever grew up with. I love you all.
Shore,
I love all my growing friends. I shout out. But anyways, but yeah, and so we go there and he's like, oh, $500 a month, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening. And so I'm like, I don't need this car. You don't seem to understand. I just don't. And so I'm trying to explain the whole process to Bobby. Okay. And the insurer might get this kind of, all of a sudden, like it goes from over $500 a month down to $310 a month. And I'm like,
seems
okay,
reasonable.
Well, okay, thanks. And we ended up leaving. They called, tried calling a few times. I'm like, no, we purchased somewhere else and it's fine. But he's like, oh, this is a one-of-a-kind car. And I go, it's a Camaro. But whatever.
It's a Camaro.
Needless to say, he drives around a Jetta.
That's a good car.
I actually drive it more than he does.
Oh, yeah.
He likes driving the Jeep, of course.
Sure. But that Volkswagen's a really nice.
Oh my gosh, it's great gas mileage.
Right. So So my story is, I bought a Subaru, and I've never owned a Subaru before this one that I bought, and all right, I was set that I was going to. It was a dumbass thing on my part, but I was going to buy this like $22,000 Subaru off Craigslist. It was 2 years old, and I'm like, all right, what I got to do is I got to go to the dealership. I got to find out if my fucking wheelchair fits in the back of this thing, and like if I can get in and out of it, okay, and if I can work everything that's in there on this vehicle. So I go to the showroom and I go there and they have 0% financing. That's like my kryptonite, right? Like I'm like, all right, 0%. You're gonna give me free money. So I go into the dealership. I get the chair into the back. Everything works out fine. I'm like, and I know that this vehicle is designed exactly the same shape as the vehicle that I'm planning on buying. They tell me it's 0% financing. I'm like, all right. I go, all right. So let's talk about it. The vehicle. Let's talk about it. So like, well, the best that we could come up with was like 40 grand for this vehicle. And I'm like, well, I'm not buying it for that much. So we started negotiating, and I'm like, this is the price that I want to pay for it. It was like 38,000 or something like that. And the guy's like, no. And I'm like, all right, I'll go. I'll go somewhere else. They got a dealership in Joliet. I'll head there. So I had to head out, and he catches me at the door. Wait. They do the host silly, talk to my manager, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So they come and they tell me, okay, well, we'll be 39, and, we'll sell it to you. And I'm like, oh, that's all right. I'm going to go. And I leave, and they call me a week later, I'll come back. So I come back up there, and they're like, listen, we'll sell you the vehicle. So what I did was dumb too. Not dumb, but like, I love so the Subaru, I've had it for 3 years now. I would recommend that vehicle to anybody. I can't believe how much I like that vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because I can drive 134 miles an hour in it, and I can also drive it responsibly and get 27 miles a gallon in it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm super happy with it.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. But I actually end up leaving there and going to another dealership, calling the other dealership, like, listen, this is where we're at. We're in an impasse. They'll sell me the vehicle for the price that I want, but they want me to order it. And I think that's a bait and switch situation. So they sold me the vehicle they had on the lot for the amount that I wanted. I got the vehicle at the price that I wanted and everything else. I got everything that I wanted for the price that I wanted because I was willing to leave. Which a lot of people aren't. They're there to buy something.
Rule number 1, don't give them your keys.
The trade-in. I would never trade anything in anyway. I want to sell that thing on my own.
That. Please don't.
But so in the real estate business, we both like to negotiate. I'm very passionate about my clients, but my hurdle that I can't get over is I don't pound, and you do a better job, and I see on social media, like, if you're anywhere near a client, you're posting about it, sort of a thing. And I'm just not good at that. I'm just not good at the whole marketing myself. And I was amazed at going from the construction business to the real estate business. If I marketed my construction business the way I market my real estate stuff, oh my God, my construction business would have been like 5 times the size that it was. So,
but I mean, I think I see it differently. Maybe not necessarily marketing myself or branding myself, more that you are working for your client, and I'm genuinely excited for my clients. I'm genuinely excited about. So if you may be thinking it like switching it up a little bit and thinking of it more on that instead of doing that cheesy, like you feel like you're doing it. And
that's my problem with it. I feel so like the douchebaggery is like,
I think people pick up on you being genuine about it too, because I truly am, and it's not like, hey, it's more like I'm so excited for them, and I really truly am. This first time home buyer, and they fell in love with this house, and I'm honored to be
emotionally invested completely.
Yes. And I remain friends with all my clients, and again, yes, we are in that industry, repeat buyers and referrals.
Now, have you ever had a deal with an agent where you talked to them and you were like, oh my God, this other agent is the biggest douchebag? I have an agent that I dealt with that I was like blown away by the things she was saying. She was like talking about like being a high roller, and like she's King Kong up in this motherfucker, and like
she did not.
She said, what the fuck did she say? That was like, I was like, what? She said, so we were in the midst of negotiation, and she said something about her clients will absolutely she will crack that whip and they will do what she says. And I was like,
whoa.
Yes. I was like, holy
who's working for who?
Exactly. So like, and I mean, what our clients were asking for was like post-negotiation. It was the repairs. The inspection came in and there was like, I don't know, 15 things on there, and they were asking for 12 things done. And I'm like, you're asking for way too much. Like, there's no, we will fix the major things, if there's a crack in the foundation, stuff like that. But we're not caulking a window. You just bought a house that's 20 years old. That's what you got.
Well,
So
and here's the other thing. There's a complete and total section in that contract that you can say, you know what, you really need to read the contract. Any of this other stuff, unless it's like major mechanical, anything like that,
sure.
Hazardous stuff like that. There's a whole section
Safety
in the contract.
issues.
Yeah. Don't be asking me to go and fix the trim around.
But they do.
And they do. And that's why I always say refer back to the contract.
Sure.
And I'm very firm on that. Refer back to the contract.
Now, if there's something in there that's like, glaring. I mean, I've definitely sold homes where I was like, oh man, you got to replace that carpeting. Like it's disgusting. I'm fine with giving a credit.
Yeah.
$1,200.
I get that.
It's bad. I got it. I mean, I'm being honest with you. So when we come to the marketing situation, I have another hurdle that I have to get over, and that's I had a guy, and I don't know if you ever saw it, I posted this story on Facebook, and I wouldn't yield on it. And some people are like, you should just take the money. I had a deal that I did for a $1.4 million home that I sold. And this is one of those stories where for me, it worked out spectacularly. For the seller, he's a friend of mine. He spent $2.2 million building this home. And we originally listed the place at $2.2 million. We had the place listed for 2 years because $2.2 million.
Yeah.
We had showings. The place is beautiful. They did his wife actually is a interior decorator right now. They did an incredible job. The place is like a museum.
Where is this at?
Mokina.
Okay.
So and it was like Mokina, but unincorporated Mokina. It was, I think they were at 4 acres of the most beautiful woods you ever saw. It was beautiful in the winter, the summer, the fall, whenever. It was beautiful. We had showings when it was at 2.2 million. I had appraisers come in and talk to the seller, listen. And I told him, I go, I'll list it for whatever you want to list it for. Just do me a favor and stick with me to the end. So don't change agents and then drop $300,000 off the price, because it's not the agent, it's the price.
Right.
The market is what the market is. So we were selling this place. We had a buyer came in, and the buyer wanted to. The appraiser told him, if you get anything north of $1 million, grab it, run with that. So he didn't want to hear that. We were listed at 2.2. He dropped the price to 1.9, and we got a burst of showings. We took $300,000 off the price.
Right.
We had a mess of showings. So this buyer came in and she was interested. She offered 1.1. Now, the seller was upset. I'm like, listen, this is business. You need to take the emotion out of the situation, and you need to counter. And it took me about a week to get him to counter. He countered at 1.9 or 1.8. And when he countered at 1.8, she was like, oh, I'm not going to spend. I was in her camp. I'm like, you're right. It's not worth 1.8.
Yeah.
But she countered back at 1.2. And I looked at the seller and I said, listen, you'll take 1.8, correct? And he said, yes. I go, will you take 1.8 from anybody? He goes, yeah. And I go, all right. Is that my cat?
I think so.
Holy cow. It's like, fuck it, I'm out of here. It was the other that I have him on the podcast. So we lowered the price on the MLS to 1.8. So it put the pressure on the buyer to oh shit, he just dropped the price again. So then she countered back at 1.2. My seller countered back at 1.6. And then we also dropped the price to 1.6. We started to get tons of showings. Every showing we got, I was calling the other agent, hey, we got all these showings. I got a doctor, he's interested. They raised the price up to 1.3. We dropped the price to 1.5 and dropped our, counter to 1.5. Yeah. So in negotiation, we the other agent was actually mad at me. She's like, I can't believe you keep dropping the price on the MLS while we're in the middle of negotiation. I'm like, this is the name of the game. Bring your price up. She ended up buying the place for $1.4 million cash because she did not want to let it go. Now my seller at this point today, this is like 3 or 4 years later, he's like, I can't believe how well we made it out of there. He lost his ass as far as what he bought it for and what he sold it for. But he goes, I know I would have never got rid of that place for the right amount of money if I didn't do what you told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, he did exactly what I wanted him to do. In the end, he made out fine. This woman bought that place cash. And then my bonus was I switched companies right before this negotiation happened. And my first deal was free. So I had no splits. So for me, like I was sitting pretty. Like it worked out like I had a $35,000 check to cash.
That's nice.
But like I still, even in the midst of it, like I could feel all that happening. I was still really more emotionally vested in my client than I was in what was going to. Sooner or later, I was going to sell this place and I was going to make a commission.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be my first one. And, there were other deals that I was like, I'm going to have to hold off on this deal because my first deal is free.
Yeah.
I can't make it, like
no more offers. No more.
$200,000 property can't happen right now.
You're doing like a 45, 60-day close on everything.
Right. So, I mean, those are like, so, essentially the podcast here, what we're doing is like, I go to lunch with my buddy Dave, who's, top agent in the New Lenox area. We'll tell stories about, like goofy stuff.
Dave who?
Cobb.
Oh.
Yeah. And Remax guy, and he does real well. So we like to, we can't put names on the people because, anything like
right,
that. But
right.
The real estate business is fun at some points. I don't want to ever promote like getting more agents involved in the game. Not because I'm afraid of the competition, but because I feel I don't think there's a 22-year-old person that should be a real estate agent. I don't think this job in 15 years is going to be what it is today. I think it's going away as far as that goes. I talk to old timers. I mean, you've been licensed since 14. The old timers had to drive everywhere to get every signature.
Right.
DocuSign is like the greatest thing that
oh
ever
my gosh.
was.
I DocuSign everything.
I love it.
Just send documents for the hell of it.
I'm Johnny on the spot. I'm pissed off I don't have enough documents because I spent the money to buy the DocuSign.
I'm like with my laptop, just sign here. It's all good. We're good right now.
They used to have to get everybody in the same fucking room to negotiate.
Can you imagine? And they didn't have the MLS wasn't what it was.
No, right.
What we have now.
So when I started in 07, and in 07, the internet was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. And there was a guy that would show up every month to the office with the books, the fucking books. Like you have to look through. The old timers that were there would not go on the internet and do the thing through they were looking through the pages. I'm like, oh my God. So like someone would call up and say, Sally, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo. Yes, right. No. I mean, it's all filter now. I'll just put the filter in there and find it. And so, right. So like even in the time that we've been involved, it's changed that much. Tell me what's going to happen 10 years from now. I just don't think that it's a viable career for somebody at 22 years old to be like, I'm going to spend 40 years here. Yeah, Trulia and all these other websites. But I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form, listen, I'm going to say this right into the camera. If you're a buyer, call me or Miki, because we will do a better job for you than you can do. I know you think you can do this. You can't. Like, you can do it. It's not going to work out as well. I negotiate properties on the regular. So when it comes to everything, I'm going to make sure that you've got all your inspections, that the things, like, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you a free $1,200 radon system because it's going to happen. Like, you're not going to ask for this inspection. I'm going to tell you need this one. It's going to bomb, and then you're going to get a free thing. And then the free thing that you're going to get, I know it's not going to be anything to you, but the day you sell that property, you're not going to deal with the situation because you've already got the mitigation system in place.
Well, and here's the other. You don't know the process. You don't know the
No.
paperwork. You don't know the legalities.
Right.
You don't know you don't have the resources.
But they've watched
'cause
HGTV.
oh God, don't. So or is that your segue in? Because I can go on and on and on and on.
I love HG. I'm in this business, and I'm in the business of construction, remodeling, and real estate. And HGTV still makes me giggle on a daily basis. I mean, the favorite meme that I have is my husband sells earthworms, and and our budget is $1.2 million.
I swear to God, I was just going to say that.
It's awesome. It's just awesome. And I mean, we deal with real first-time buyers. And like, my husband's a janitor, and I work at the high school, and our budget is, $240,000. And I will find you a very nice place, and then I will negotiate that price to a payment you can handle. I will put you in contact. Mickey's the same way. Now, we can have this conversation because our area doesn't overlap that much. Mm-hmm. You're out in Morris, and I'm here way out east. Yeah. I understand that, you'll sell anybody anything anywhere, mm-hmm. and I generally will too. But if someone calls me and says, I'd like to buy a property in, somewhere in Western Illinois, I'm not going that far. I've got, work here.
Well, for instance, today I just had someone or Facebook message me. And they're like, oh, you seem like you definitely know what you're doing in real estate, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Do you deal with timeshares? And I'm like, no. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out somebody that does and could help you out. I have resources. I know people that are in different niche, whatever you want to say. But, in genres, and there's so many different areas in real estate. I mean, you can really...
I've done all right with referrals as far as...
And that's what I'm saying.
I've referred people to people in Tennessee, Florida, Washington State, mm-hmm. California, all that stuff. And I'll tell you what, it's not like if you're moving from the Chicagoland area and you're going to Oklahoma, call me because I
have somebody there.
I have and then if I don't have somebody there, I have the ability to have a 15-minute phone call mm-hmm. with somebody there to find out if they're legit or not.
I agree.
You're not a bozo, and I'm going to put you in contact with this person. They're going to find you. I had a deal in Washington State. Guy was buying a $600,000 home. I talked to 3 agents, and I said, listen, I talked to these 3 agents, and these are my 1, 2, 3s. Give me these. You pick. I want you to call all 3 of them.
Right.
But whoever you seem to mesh with best, this is my 1, 2, 3. I'm telling you, this is the best agent I talked to. This is the second best agent. This guy's, he's okay. So he talked to him. He went with the number 1, and he was like, oh my God, you're totally right. This worked out awesome. This guy was the fucking balls. So, and it's no sweat off of your nose at all to call me and let me do this service for you. It's not going to take me much time, but I'm not going to just pull up the internet and be like, okay, here's an agent. There you go. You can give me my commission.
Right.
So I'm going to do it differently. Same with you. So like if there's anyone out there that's like looking for somebody, and you're, I don't look at the podcast thing like I'll have you on and I'll have other real estate brokers on also because I don't feel like we're not competing. We're not. There's agents out there that feel like everybody's competing and we're not. I have my friends. I have the people that are going to use me. The people that are going to use me are not going to use you. The people that are going to use you are not going to use me.
Well, and so there's this person, would probably consider him to be like a mentor in sales.
Yeah.
Specifically for sales.
Okay.
And I just remember a very long time ago, he told me that it's not necessarily, it's all about you. If they like you, they're going to do business with you. And really that's what it comes down to. It's not necessarily like what you're selling. Do they like you? Do they trust you? And for me, and I'm sure for you, that somebody actually chooses you to make, help them with the biggest decision, financial decision of their life. Yep. I mean, it's an honor. it's humbling for me. And I don't feel like I need to have a pissing contest with you or some other real estate agent. Instead, I want to have a relationship because, at some point I may meet with you on the other side of the negotiation table, and we have the common goal of let's get this fucking closed.
Right. And I won't do just what you said there. Like I've had people that we go look at a home. It's a $290,000 home, and they're like, let's offer them 260. And I'm like, let's not.
No.
And like, listen. Like, I understand what you want to do. Like, we're not at the flea market. I can't just throw a lowball thing at them and see if they'll take it. What I will do is call and see if the agent's dumb enough to show their hand. Like, will they tell me these people are desperate or something like that? I'll do everything I can to get you the price at the best price I can. I will not start off a negotiation by insulting the fuck out of everybody on that side. We're not going to get anywhere that way.
Right.
And then my other thing is, let's offer a good enough offer that they can't walk away, but it's low enough that we can negotiate a great price for you, sort of a situation.
Yeah.
So like, and that comes with the fact that I negotiate homes on a regular basis, sort of situation. I get it. Like on social media, if I see some things I just don't see. I'm really kind of like a drive-byer on social media. I post stuff, and I post stuff to like fuck with people sometimes, and then I just leave it. Like I don't really come back to it. Like I posted, people start fighting and arguing, whatever they're doing, and they come back later and laugh and whatever like that. I don't scroll through my news feed that much. Like I'm really bad at like just like, oh, what is ever? I don't care. Like that's not what I do. So like I get it when I see an agent that doesn't sell very many homes and she's like, or he's like, grr, that son of a bitch is selling a $500,000 place and I'm so jealous. When I see a post that you have and it's like your listing or something like that, I'll share it. I don't give a shit. That's not my, and honestly,
it's all about relationship.
If somebody calls me and says, hey, I'm looking for a place out in Oswego and you're in Morris, so you're close to that, and I give you to Miki to get your property with, well, if I give you to Miki, Miki's going to cut me a referral fee. Same goes the other way. So that's all fine by me. And I know you're in good hands with Miki. So if you're a friend of mine, I'm going to put you in somebody that's capable. I know that you're going to be taken care of. I know you're not going to go, that son of a bitch Bill gave me, this agent. She's an idiot. I would never do that. That's not going to happen. So like I look at it like we're all working in conjunction with each other rather than I wish I had her listing. That makes no sense. I could never get your listing. I don't know who you know to get that listing.
Right.
So
I mean,
I look at it as competition.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
I could not agree more. So, you ready?
Wind me up here.
I'm good at this. So, anyways, yeah, no,
Thank you.
I just see some jealousy is just ugly.
It is, and it's like I said, I get it with somebody who's like scratching and clawing to barely make whatever they're making. I would say your problem isn't the other agent that's doing well. Maybe it's partly your attitude. Maybe it's partly that you're not working well with others, sort of thing, and then you need to do that. Maybe it's you're not like I was talking to you before the podcast. I like the way that you're diversified. You're doing some property management. You said like that takes the heat off. This business is not for everybody. I'm kind of used to this business because in contracting, there's swings. Like the first few years I contracted, I'm like, I'm going to contract 365 days a year and I'm going to work every single day. It was a mistake. I spent more time with guys warming up their hands in January and stuff like I wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
I was better off to like, dude, lay you off, go collect unemployment, do whatever you got to do for 2-3 months, and then we'll come back to it. If we get some real nice indoor work, then we'll do that work. If not, I'm not going to hang siding in January.
Right.
It's not going to work out. So you're diversified as far as that goes. The swings in real estate are tough. I have had a month where I had a month where I sold two $500,000 pieces of property and a $1.4 million piece of property. I was a guy with $60,000 in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great month.
Those are good months.
Right. But there's also months where you're scrambling to follow up on leads and just shit does not fall in place, and there's no money. If you're not disciplined enough to hold on to that $60,000, and then the other one is tax time comes, I got to pay taxes on that 60 grand.
Yep.
If I spent that 60 grand, I'm in trouble.
Right.
The Shylocks are coming for me. Like it's not going to work out well.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's people that work out better that every Friday there's a paycheck than people that the swings are. I'm wealthy in June and I'm poor in January.
And I'm owing somebody in March.
Right. So like I would not say this job is for everybody, but if you're passionate about home stuff and everything else, and like I like design. I told you, like I like your style. Like I like some of the stuff. Like I've seen some of the pictures you posted. Like it's nice looking. Like it's very aesthetically, it's pretty. It's cool as far as that goes. But that's because I'm into that sort of thing. I've walked into people's houses and I'm like, oh, you have no style. There's a lazy boy chair and a TV remote. That's as stylish as you get.
Well, you know what? I would say that that's a lot of like men and they're regular, whatever.
Well, look at me. I live in a world where there's no woman reeling me in. I mean,
well,
if it was me and you, would you let me? Everything I'm doing here? I mean, the cedar ceiling, I don't know if you saw the mounted fish. And
I mean, yeah, the fish probably not. But my ex-husband wanted to put a boar head in the house, and I'm like, no, that's gonna stay right in the garage.
Right. So I mean, but I still have, even for me, because I'm into the housing thing. Like I've got a motif, right? Or like I did Craftsman. I've got the super raised baseboards, the 3-panel doors. Mm-hmm. Like I tried to make some style out of this thing so that when I know when I'm selling a home, and this home will be sold someday, I'm selling to a woman. That's what I'm selling to. Most of the time I'm selling to a woman.
Because they're the ones that make the final decision on the house, really. Right. I mean, yes, because I think we have that emotional connection to the house.
Right, but even if the guy is the only breadwinner in the home.
See, I'm dancing around that. You notice that I am because I don't want to that.
You ladies have the power, and that's how it goes. And I won't get vulgar about why you have the power, but you have the power. Uh-huh. So but even when I'm scouting homes for people, I'm generally more scouting. Like I've had guys that are my friends that are married, and I'm like, well, I need to talk to your wife. Like, let's talk. Let's sit down. Let's have more talking. I'm going to pay way more attention to what she's got to say than what he's got to say. Because guys are dumb. They don't care about much of anything. If there's a garage, that's good. But let's make sure that the kitchen is formidable. Let's make sure that we're in the budget. And if we're not, then we're in the budget where they can afford to drop 20 grand to make it the way that they want it. Right. So I'm generally selling to a woman. And if my advice was out there to anyone, if you're going to market your home or get your home ready to be marketed,
contact an agent.
You contact an agent, and also have it ready for a woman to move in there, because that's what I'm selling.
Okay, but now you tell a guy, we have it ready for a woman to walk into and want to buy. They're like, oh, do I put lace curtains up, or you know what I mean? So, I'm not saying that's all men, because I know some men with some great style, and I really
do you really?
I do.
I don't know that many men with great style, but I don't like men that much. I don't. I had a woman one time go, all right, you're connected with like 1,400 people on Facebook. Can you hook me up with a guy? And I'm like, no.
Because they're not paying attention to what they're doing.
Besides that, like they're boneheads. Most of my friends are idiots. Like I would never, I would refer someone to an agent or refer like anything else before I would ever refer a woman to date a guy that I know. Sounds bad, but like
No, all your friends are now currently
upset
unlocking
with
you.
There's a couple guys, I guess, that if I really think about it, but like I wouldn't want to put myself in that position where like, oh my God, dating, like, oh God, it's so like, yeah, that's, and for women with the internet now that we were talking about for the pilot, like that's a rough. There are so many unsolicited penis pictures that you don't need to see.
Well, I have never received one of those.
Shut the fucking.
No, I have never received one of those, but I mean, there's quite a few.
I am so surprised.
No, and it's
I've talked to so many women who have received way too many unsolicited dick pictures. Like
I've never. And if I did, I'd be like borderline. But no, I do get a lot of.
Do I call it hitman or the cops?
Right, exactly. I don't know. It's. Oh my God, it's literally in your face.
I had a friend of mine who was here. We were laughing with that drinking, and she literally pulled up her phone and showed me, but she had a dozen pictures of penises of guys. I'm like, this is the way a guy thought he was going to get to you. Like, oh my God.
No, I mean, I'll get like Facebook messages and all this other stuff, and the "Good morning, beautiful," or I mean, they're very kind, and
It's all fine.
yeah. And so I mean, but
I'm trying to do the clever texting thing.
Right, but it's all this. But yeah, I don't know. Dating is strange.
Oh God. So okay, we were talking about this too, and Miki must live a sheltered life.
Dick pics.
Right, no dick pics, and Miki did not know that real estate agent porn was a thing.
Why would I know that?
You're a real estate agent. That's why you would know that. So okay, so I think that like okay, being a woman real estate agent, being an attractive one as Miki is, it's an advantage, okay, because guys are dumb and they feel like it's a position where I can show this woman that I am successful because she's going to see my financials because, I'm going to buy a house. So I'm going to get this like good looking real estate agent. Okay. So porn, I've had this conversation on a podcast before. I have sat my sons down and been like, listen, porn is not what you should right. That's not sex. You need to like go about this a whole different way. And I'm like, short of explaining the actual function of what you're going to do around a vagina, I have spoke to my sons about like, the respect you need to show and the things you need to do and like really what's important for that situation versus what is shown on these stupid videos. But there is a whole genre of real estate agent porn. And I'm sorry to say.
I'm going to be on like Pornhub later on.
Right. It is never a dude porn agent. Porn agent. Real estate agent. It's never a real estate agent that's a guy.
What's the opening line? Like, what is I'm going to show you.
Think about it. It is a guy who's like, well, I might write a contract on this home if zip.
Oh.
Right. Like somehow you would be right, like so enamored with his, offer on a real estate property.
His negotiation technique.
It's the most awful thing ever. But it's a whole genre of porn that I'm sorry, there are dudes watching that and thinking, I'm going to get myself a hot real estate agent. Now, the pizza delivery business, it's always a guy delivering the pizza. And that's a whole genre of porn too.
See, that's disappointing.
What?
I mean, the guy is the delivery pizza. Like,
okay, all right. So that is the difference, right? Now, if I drive through the drive-through, maybe not at 48, but as a younger man, Driving through the drive-through at McDonald's and she's cute, I might hit on her. Driving through the drive-through at McDonald's and he's cute, probably not gonna hit on him. He's got the McDonald's schmuck and visor on. Like there's a different play there, right? Like I mean, as far as a woman goes, a guy goes, she's cute, she's at the drive-through in McDonald's, she has a vagina. You're like, he has a really shitty job. Right, so it's a totally different kind of
That's what I'm saying. Like pizza delivery, is that really?
But you understand that's a whole genre of porn too, right? She always orders it with extra sausage.
Right.
And then he shows up for the delivery and it's ba-dum, and then it's silly porn music. But yeah, so like porn's got it for young men out there and young women, it's all backwards.
No, it's not
all
supposed to be
mess.
like that. And
No.
and I think that women need to know that you don't have to do these weird things because a lot of the
No.
time it doesn't feel right.
No. Well,
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Right. That is but you have boys and I have boys. That's a conversation that, okay, so like people need to, I think people don't get it. Like I don't personally get and I've been to a couple, the strip club. I don't get it. I'm literally sitting there going, I don't get this. I don't get it at all. And I'm a dude who, there's all kinds of weird, like people get real weird. Like people like, the people put on like furry outfits and have sex.
I heard that about that thing, the
Furbies or whatever the fuck that is, right? So that's a thing. And I'm like, I am totally amazed by that because my fantasy has been the same since like 18 years old or 17 years old that it is today. And that is an attractive woman with a fucking brain thinks my dick is crack. And then we just do that. Like regular sex is all just wonderful. I don't understand why I need to improve on this thing, like be into your feet or anything weird like that. Like that's just not my thing. So like my sons, I'm like, hey, listen.
Whatever your age.
But like you don't need to be like you're taking a thing that's perfectly fine and making it something that you got to make it different. You don't need to make it different. It all works out great just this way.
But how confident are those people to be okay with all that? I mean,
I don't know.
Kudos to them for being so confident.
I'm still
thing.
There are still things I'm blown away by. Like when I run into somebody I run into people that like, in middle age, people start to talk about things that are like way out of bounds. I run into,
right now.
I run into swingers that I was like, really? And this is what they're doing, like in their like hobby. Or like I was 24 and I got a call to Indiana for a bunch of buildings that needed siding. It was a nudist colony. And I was like, I'm going to have to charge you more because the people are disgusting.
Right, they shouldn't be naked.
No, they're all fat and old and ugly and terrible. They're all naked. There are balls and dicks and saggy boobs and like it's just the worst thing ever. I'm like, you understand? I'm going to charge you a premium to be here under these conditions. This is bad.
Or you must be clothed, fully clothed when I'm here.
I'll come in February where everyone's got clothes on. So like people are weird. Like they just get weird. And it's like my analogy with sex, and I make an analogy between that and pizza. For a guy, bad pizza is still okay. For a woman, bad sex is really bad. Some of my favorite things is to have conversations with women about terrible sexual encounters, and it is like, oh my God, what the fuck was he thinking?
Okay, but wait, now have you had the conversation of the best encounters?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
And for guys, sometimes the best encounters, I look at him like, you need to focus on that. Like that's exact. Like you got it right. And sometimes, okay, so I had a sexual encounter with a woman who was, oh my God, she was so fucking gorgeous. She was beautiful. And Miki, we went to go kissing and she went,
Ew, stop
I
it.
looked at her and I go, why are you moving your head? She didn't move her tongue. We kissed and she moved her head.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, you've been getting away with this because you look so good.
Right.
Like this sort of deal. So my takeaway was I need to find like a 7 that'll work hard. So that was my takeaway from the situation. The
Oh my
10s,
God.
not so much.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, I'm positive.
not all of us. I'm kidding.
All this 10s. I'm positive that there are, I know that there are good looking dudes out there that are unbearable as far as the gym pictures and the just like douchebaggery that goes on. Like you couldn't have a conversation with them.
Well, it's all about working out. And, great. I love that you work out and you take care of yourself and it's fantastic that you do. It's just, okay, what else do you got?
Well, then, so I like the workout thing. I'm attracted to a woman that works out. I'm attracted to a woman who works out not because, honestly, of the way she looks, but so 2 reasons. A woman that works out to me works hard, which I appreciate that in my life. Like everything around me is work. I sell real estate, I general contract, I coach wrestling, I do a podcast because it's all work. And that you only have that when you're dead. That's all you have to leave is your legacy of what you did, what you accomplished in life. So I like that. I want a woman that works and works hard. So when I see like a really like overweight, kind of like messed up, I like this person. Though they're not a very hard worker, so I can't. It's not going to be attractive to me. And then secondly, a woman that's in shape is generally hornier. She's generally like more active as far as sex goes. So I'm wired that way. So it's attractive to me as far as that goes. So there's more to it than just the like gym picture in the mirror sort of situation, which that's nice. That's fine. But that's not the most attractive aspect of that to me. Like I'm always a big picture person. I kind of like draw back and go, all right, if I get a person that's like lazy and smokes, when I see a person that's a smoker, I'm like, you make bad decisions.
Well,
do you like a smoker?
No.
Okay.
But no, we'll kind of on that completely. But
now, okay, now the one thing I did want to hit on with you was Miki is attracted to older men. Now, we need to like define what that is. Like how old? I saw a Facebook post where there was like a extremely old man who was obviously on testosterone therapy, and you were like, hello, daddy. And I was like, oh my God, no. It was that like really weird picture. Like,
oh, did he have that gray beard?
No. It was that old. It was like grandpa face dude who was like jacked. And
yeah, just like that. Everybody was. That was one of my friends that posted. Of course, I said hello, daddy. Okay. Oh my God.
So all right. So how much older is okay? Because like I have a problem with my male friends, and I had a guy who like defriended me and like blocked me and everything else over the fact that he's like 48-ish, 50-ish, and he wanted to date like 22. And I'm like, no, creepy dude. Creepy.
That's creepy.
Yes.
I think you need...
all I said to him was, listen, man, I go, I'm just, for your benefit, I'm telling you, people from the outside think it's creepy.
Well, okay. I think you're both in different stages of your life.
Okay.
Like, she one day will want to have children, or, I'm not saying that all women do, but let's just say she's going to want to have children, and he's 48 years old, and yeah, I get it. I understand how science works, and
guys can still,
right. I know all of that. But I think, you have to ask yourself, what do you have in common with this person? You know?
So for me, that's a big factor. It's a huge factor in it. Is okay with the podcast. I found out like that having really cool conversations, like having a dinner party where there's 4 or 5 people and you have like really good conversations, like arouses me, not in a sexual way, but like mentally. Like I like that connection with
Mm-hmm.
somebody. I see all these relationships with people. I got a couple of neighbors and like people that I know that the guy's got a man cave and the woman spends the time in the kitchen and they're apart. I would personally rather be alone than be in a relationship like that. Like that bothers me.
Agreed.
Right. I want to, and I'm actually attracted, male or female, conversation wise, to people who I disagree with a couple things on, because then I can have this like whole night conversation about this thing that how are you thinking, how am I thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it's a sexual relationship, I can have this engrossing conversation and then have sex later on, even though that like I don't know, we like stimulate each other's minds and then we physically got it on later, sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important to me. I would leave a relationship where we were separate, like where the guy had a man cave and then the woman was in a kid. Like I don't need that. Like
Why are
I'd
you
rather be alone.
together then?
Exactly.
Why are you
Exactly. I
together?
don't even get. I think some of it is honestly, it's financial. It's like,
Financial, comfortable.
yep, we live under the same roof.
I think it's majority financially.
I agree. I agree. And I am not in a place in my life where I need that. Like I don't need. Granted, I don't think it'd be bad to have a woman that made $600,000 a year, and like
I'd have a woman that made $600,000 a year.
Exactly. Right. I can't go there. I could do everything except for the sex stuff with the guy. Like, hang out, talk about
We'll
things.
go fishing together.
Oh, your dick, no.
Let's drink some beer.
You're really hairy. God damn. So no. Right. So like I'm in a position in my life where I want to have conversations. I want to have a physical relationship because I'm wired like that, but I also want to have a thing where we like really talk about things. And I honestly I'm still capable of changing my mind about things if somebody can, like, let's have a discourse. Tell me in the best words you can about what you think, and then maybe I'll think about it.
Because disagreements aren't necessarily like grounds for, oh my God, it's over. No.
In America now it is, though.
It is.
Right, and it's wrong. So that's a reason for the podcast. I want to have people on that have like a completely disconnected view from my view, and then explain to me how you got there. Like, let's talk about that. And like, we're in a podcast, so we're going to do a couple of hours of talking, and because people are going to consume it. But in my life, me and you are a couple. I can make a dinner. I cook very well. We can talk about things at dinner. We can turn on the news. We can have conversation. I can have 8-hour conversations with somebody that I dig, and then you know what? I don't know if you dig somebody. I don't know. Like for me, I'm a prolonger of like pleasure. So like I can have this conversation. I can look at you while I'm having this conversation. I can think about maybe what we're going to do later and stuff like that. And it makes the whole relationship something. And if you have that, I think you can be like a 75-year-old couple and still have like a fire that is something cool because you have this thing. And maybe like you go and you read books about this certain topic and I read books about that certain topic, and then we can talk about those things, or you consume a different thing. So like I don't know, the human connection is what separates us from animals, right? Mm-hmm. Like my dog does not realize he's going to have grandchildren. Like it doesn't matter to him, but we do. So like we can have like I don't know, I want something more out of a relationship than just, do you make a living? Do I make a living? Are you a decent, like, I want to like a mental connection.
And I see it so often, it's financial situation, and they're probably not bad people, but there is no connection.
Oh God, it's like almost like purposely disconnected. It's I can't even. I shake my head about it. I've been divorced for a long time now, and I kind of like me. Like I like to spend time alone. I don't mind it at all. Like being someone that's like out of a relationship for a while. 6 months out of a relationship, I can have a sandwich when I want to have a sandwich. I can turn on Netflix when I want to turn on Netflix. I can watch what I want to watch. I can.
Don't you get scared of getting comfortable with that though? Because I kind of get scared with that. It's been 2.5 years. I'm kind of really cool with me, and I don't want it to get to, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm real.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't know. I'm cool with being comfortable with it because, like, what if I am alone? Like, I better be comfortable with it. Like, what? Because I honestly, I'm being totally blunt. I would totally choose being alone. I was a serial monogamist in high school and through like my 20s until I got married. I would rather dump somebody. I have no fear of being alone. Like I don't. I would rather dump. I was really good at dating someone for about 5 months, and then the minute that we got into that like first like thing, I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go. There will be another woman around the corner in a minute. I have no doubt about that. But I gotta go. I gotta go. I can't do this. And then I've dated some spectacular women. I think just at the wrong time in my life. I dated women that were awesome, like in my early 20s and my late teens. They were like ready to get married, and I was like not there. Like that was not me.
And that's how I was in the same sort of situation too. I think I wasn't ready, but then I thought I was, and then again, I think people get.
Oh, I was bad. I actually looked at a girl one time and said, she said something about when we get married, and I go, you got a mouse in your pocket?
Yeah.
Because we ain't get married. I'm 21. I'm not getting married.
Like, and a 21-year-old doesn't have any business getting married.
Oh, I've had this conversation with my sons. So this is my job as a parent. I've explained to my sons, listen, a smart person learns from their mistakes. Mm-hmm. A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. You don't got to make these mistakes to learn from them. So listen, boys, learn from mine. You have no business getting married till you're 30. Because you're boys, first off, so you can have children till you're like whenever.
Right.
I told her to listen, buy the Corvette, buy the motorcycle. Don't buy the motorcycle. It's a dumb thing to do. Okay. Right. Go to Europe, experience what the world has to offer. And then also, this goes back to the real estate thing. Too many people get the partner and then they find the nest. Listen.
Make the nest.
Yeah, get the nest, feather the nest, mm-hmm. Make the nest exactly what you want it to be, then bring the woman over. Man,
And a woman wouldn't appreciate that.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I've dated in my 30s and 40s. A woman appreciates when I can have her over, have a glass of wine, make her a meal. I'm a fully developed person all on my own.
That's right.
Right. So look I can do
maybe that's why I like older men. You know what I mean? It's like, but anyways, go ahead.
The older men thing I had fun with because like the what was it, the Big Daddy movie where he was like, enjoy his little balls. Which so I when you said that, like I actually took some time and I was like, all right, let's think about this. For a woman, if you dated an older guy, there are some advantages. You brought up that he like is more caring about the relationship or something like that, or
I think they're experienced and they know how to be in a relationship and they do nurture a relationship.
Right. Okay, now so my Wired for Sex thinks that there's a certain aspect to that too.
Because, I think the sex is fantastic.
Right. Too. Okay, so there are people that, and I don't want, like, if you're married and you got married at 20, stay fucking married. Yeah. But find yourself some sex toys, do what you got to do. Like, I don't know, get some tutorial videos, do something. Because people that get married young, the sex is bad. Like, it is, like, I don't know, there's, like, I've heard so many sex stories where, like, it's a wham, bam. Like, the guy, I think it's mostly on the guy. You're not there for the right reason. Like, you should be there for hours, not minutes. Like, there should be like a thing where you're like setting this thing up to be the most intimate thing you can do with somebody you're in a relationship with is have sex with them. You're connecting on a, like, I don't know. It's very important as
Right.
far as that goes. And I think too many relationships that are married young, the guy was just trying to get to having sex. They had sex and then they thought that's what it is. Get older and find your way around a vagina, man, because like there's a whole other thing going on. Like I said, guys are easy to have sex with. If a guy gets off, I had sex.
It's not too hard to make that happen.
Right. Where like, I don't know, like you need to get to a point. That's why like I'm still totally hung up on regular heterosexual sex between a man and a woman. And it's because it's awesome if you can get in between her ears. Getting in between her legs is easy. Getting in between her ears is a whole other thing.
It depends on which way.
Exactly. Listen, I got no hang-ups on that either. If you can, like if you're a woman that makes a guy wait a month, and then if you're a guy that makes him wait a day, that makes no difference. But I'm telling you, if you can get between her ears, it's way more fulfilling than if you can just get between her legs. Because if you get a connection where a guy is a dumbass, like, okay, all you need to do is get between her legs. That's it. That's all that there is. But between a woman's ears is where it's at. So, like, if I can get you excited about me personally and, like, everything else, sex will be a better thing than...
Well, why do you think that? Like, guys, take a clue. That whole 50 Shades of Grey and how popular it was, and like, read the books. It may help. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't get into the BDSM stuff like that.
But it's not even truly like that. It's not. And it like
my favorite meme with that was, if the guy wasn't a billionaire, it'd be rape. If he lived in a trailer park, that'd be bad. He would tie you up.
He's got a red room.
I don't know shit about that. I'm sorry.
The difference between that is a white van.
Right. So,
white conversion van. That's what it has to be.
So, like, I always advise. I've had people come to me and be like, "Listen, I've been married for 20 years, and I want to get a divorce." And male or female, I'm like, "Don't do it. Figure out a way to not do it." Both of us have been through divorces. It's fucking awful. It's awful to have a person that has been convinced by an attorney to lie for personal gain. And like, you used to sleep in a bed with this person, and now you're in court, and
you'll do anything to fuck that other person over.
Right. It's the worst thing ever. Figure out a way to make this work, because you're going to get scars that never go away from that
even
situation.
If you do get divorced, I mean, if there's any advice that I could, and I'm giving advice, I don't know who's going to take it, but the attorneys, seriously, we just had this conversation.
Yep.
They do a discovery, and what they're discovering is how much money that they can take from you, and how long they can prolong it.
Yep, no, for sure. I mean, okay, so anyone who's not divorced, who's contemplating it, I want to say my end of my divorce was $26,000 in attorney fees. So just do that money there. And I don't even know what the ex's was, but she had 3 attorneys to my 1, so I can't even imagine.
So let's just triple it.
Yeah, let's just say 60 for the low end. But so there's almost $90,000 that went out on
that kind of
nothing.
went to your family.
Right, to your families, right. Besides the fact that now you split your families, you've got 2 households, you've got all this money that could have gone to one place and it didn't, all over something that you had that you thought was good enough to get married in the first place, and then you couldn't make that work. So, like, I don't know, go to counseling. Figure out how to make that fucking work.
Unless you're in an abusive relationship.
Oh, yeah, get the fuck out of there, right? Yeah, no, there's no.
But I mean, but we were just having this conversation earlier that, like, if you would rather not be in a comfortable situation and be in it just for the finances either. So, I get it, like, people want to leave as well.
Right. I have a neighbor who literally lives his summer in a shed. He has a TV, Fox News watcher, and he just sits in his shed and he watches the news all day. And I'm like, I feel bad for his wife. I'm like, she hasn't seen any action forever. Like, it's terrible.
But you don't know, maybe she's comfortable with that situation.
Yes, right. Which I don't understand. Like, for me, and maybe it's that I've been on my own for as long as I have, I'd rather be, I think I'm less lonely by myself than I would be in a relationship where I was lonely. Like, that would be, you would think one of those people has to be pining away for, I wish you would just come inside and talk to me.
We all do.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so isn't that the bigger thing? Like, okay, I seriously, like, physically, I'm wired for a physical relationship. That's the way I roll. But wouldn't it be awesome to have, like, really good conversations with somebody every single day? Like you'd be happy. Like, so both of us are very, very work oriented. Like, I see your stuff, and like you posted today, like your work day was crazy, and then you work out, you everything else, and then you're like, I gotta bust out to a podcast too. So, like, the same thing, and I do a podcast. But wouldn't it be, like, awesome to look forward to? I'm gonna get done with all this shit
and tell someone about my day.
Yes, so I can talk to that person about this. Share about your day, and then also, like, be like, hey, like, we watched this Netflix series together, and you could be like, talk about every single detail about that thing. That would be, and even though, like I said, like, I'm disclaiming it by I'm wired for, like, carnal situation, I want the other thing more than I want the carnal situation.
Well, I think guys need to understand, if they actually did that, they'd be getting more.
Absolutely, right. And I'm telling you, if you don't know already, sex is better with somebody that you have had an entire Sunday to watch her walk around the house and look at her and be like, tonight I'm going to do this thing with her. But all day I'm going to talk to her and have this connection with her that's different than that. So, like, I think most of the relationships I see, they're not so good. Like, it bothers me about that. And it turns me off on the relationship thing. I just want to see somebody, I don't know, get out of those. But then again, I don't want to financially. I don't want to see get out of it because some people can't take care of themselves. I knew a guy who stabbed himself 9 times in the chest because his wife left him with a fucking steak knife. I don't know how you do that. After the 3rd time,
why?
This really fucking hurts.
Right. He must have been really
distraught.
Yes.
Couldn't make a peanut butter jelly sandwich on his own. I don't know. But...
Oh my God.
Right. So, anyways, well, there, Miki, we're 2 hours into this. I think we've covered quite a bit. Now, okay, so with the podcast thing, I'm hoping to have some regulars. Okay, so I hope you come back and we sit and talk again. And we'll talk about real estate stuff. We didn't even get into, like, I've got some stories that were like, just can't believe that they happened the way they happened. as far as real estate goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I've got about $1 million for you
right.
too.
I, it's tough with the real estate thing because you don't ever want to put a client to the story sort of situation, but crazy shit goes on in real estate as far as that goes. And you have to really deal with it too, because sometimes for a real estate broker, the crazy shit that goes on is the difference between, $20,000 my way and no money my way too.
Right.
So it's emotional to say the least. But I enjoyed our conversation very, very much.
I did as well. Thank you for having me.
All right. And the view was nice too.
So. Oh, well, thank you.
All right, let's wrap it up here. All right. Yeah, 2 hours is quite a bit of